During the Progressive Era, Victorian music could only do so much for the new weekend crowd. Dance halls in the late 19th century and early 20th century welcomed ragtime music because of its iconic offbeat syncopation. So dance halls went from looking like this to this. The fundamentals of ragtime inspired jazz, which easily popularized the United States from the South up to the North. African American artists dominated the creativity within these genres. However, the majority of society disapproved of the rebelliousness jazz caused. Progressive genres reshaped society then and has influenced music today. But how did this all start?
Ragtime, made famous by musicians such as Scott Joplin, Tom Turpin, and Artie Matthews, was an African American inspired music genre from the Progressive era. This type of music made older members of society scared because of its syncopated beat. When the syncopated beat is played correctly, it causes people to swing or sweat, which was new to the Progressive era. People were scared because this sort of syncopation or misplaced beat was known to be in African American music in the South. First coming to prominence in an area of St. Louis, Missouri called Chestnut Valley, a man named Tom Turpin had his song Harlem Rag published, defining ragtime song and a model for future composers. In 1900, Tom opened his own saloon, the Rosebud, where he and his students played ragtime together and made St. Louis the capital of ragtime. By the early 1900s, rag was all over America, in sheet music, piano rolls, concerts, and even orchestras. But not everyone was a fan of rag. Some people believed that it had a bad effect on society, even going as far as to create anti-rag societies. Even though ragtime's heyday was during the Progressive era, it can still be heard today. Not only are there groups dedicated to preserving rag, like the Northern Virginia Ragtime Society, but we can also hear it in movies and TV shows. There are even musicians who have done some ragtime revivals, like Billy Joel with his song Root Beer Rag, which isn't exactly the same as classical rag, so that it can better fit a contemporary audience.
Jazz was developed after ragtime. The genre carried the same charm, but changed in the fact of more vocal lyrics and other instruments being included, like the saxophone and trumpet. When did the jazz era truly begin? Well, there is a huge debate of who started jazz between Buddy Bolin and Nick LaRocca. Buddy started his first band in 1895 and went on to become a strong advocate for the jazz migration. Meanwhile, Nick LaRocca and his original Dixieland Jazz Band recorded the first jazz record in 1917. Nick denied any claims that he was inspired by Buddy Bolin or any other African American jazz artists and claimed to get inspiration from the opera. Who do you consider to be the true king of jazz? Whoever you think it is, these two and others like them have been the trailblazer that led the great jazz migration and still have influence in music even to this day.
Jazz in the modern day is the seed that grows into hip-hop, R&B, and blues, as well as a plethora of other subgenres of music. With the Great Migration, African Americans of New Orleans jazz musicians migrated to northern cities like Chicago, New York, and the North. Speakeasies and new technology like records, microphone, radio, gramophone all assisted the spread of jazz to become popular. Some famous jazz musicians that influenced the era were Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, Chick Webb, Louis Armstrong, Jelly Roll Morton, Buddy Bolin, Ella Fitzgerald, and Billie Holiday.
During the Progressive era and even today, music was used as a means to get through tough times and keep motivated as progressives aim for change. This motivation gave a different view into how the society would further progress, even if they felt no progress in the present time. Progressives remained positive, and different musical genres contributed to this positive attitude. Considering that music has such a positive impact on the Progressive era, these forms of music are continuously used today. So yes, genres from the Progressive era are still relevant today and still having a positive impact on those who listen.